All right, so here's my washing machine. It's a front loader LG from like 10 years ago. This thing literally weighs 200 pounds. It is such a pain to move even on hardwood floors. Even though I have space to grab it here, I have to like try to shimmy it out like this. It's not fun, even with the felt pads. I didn't know of a good way of moving this thing because even though I only had to move it like once a year, it was so painful that it felt like I had to try to solve this problem. So I looked at some like things on Amazon, which were like these little like plastic rails that you have to like prop up on one side, then prop up on another side. I'm like, man, has anyone used a front loader? Like that thing's just gonna like walk off. It's gonna shake and fall off those rails. And then just by chance, I found out about this thing called like a tool like mover, a universal base. And here it is. All that you do is that you got these levers here, and I think you can probably guess there's a lobe on the levers. So when you pull these levers up, right, it takes quite a bit of effort, right? When you pull those levers up at the same time, what happens is the lobe pushes down on the wheel, which then pulls up this first foot on this like 3-inch wheel or whatever. And then you can just roll it right back out. So let me show you. I have to use both hands at the same time because even with these levers, it's still quite heavy. Okay, I just used both hands real quick. You know, realistically, it probably takes like 40 or 50 pounds of like force in each hand. But as an adult, I think lots of adults could do it because you just put your body weight into it, right? These handles feel strong. So I'm not concerned about it. But once you get it up on these front two wheels, you can like basically just like drag this thing. I wouldn't recommend grabbing it from the bottom, but just as a little demo, you can just drag this thing anywhere. Like it's no problem at all. It's exactly what you'd expect from something on wheels. You can see the back casters though are just straight. So you do have to, you have to drive with this front part and then make sure the back is like straight because you can't really steer it from back there. But it makes the job so much easier that if I buy another washer, even one that like a top loader that weighs half as much, I'd still probably put this under it because it's just that much easier. You might be wondering though, like it's kind of inconvenient to have like literally an extra few inches out here. I don't know, at least like 4 inches of extra space. So what I do is I take two combination wrenches. This is one I use on cars and whatnot. But then here's one. This particular model uses 10 millimeter. But then I just went and bought this Home Depot ratcheting one, make it easier. That way I didn't need like a socket or whatever. But it's just one bolt here with a nylock nut. And so I just put the combination wrenches on each end and take off this bolt. And then I can remove the wheel unit, which saves many, many inches. So let me show you what that looks like. Again, I can't do it because I need both hands. I just used both hands there to undo the single bolt and nut here. So you can see there, let me move it out of the way. There's much less space here, and you can see how the levers kind of move freely, right? So lift everything up and then put everything back down where you want it. Then I just took the wheels off, and so now it's really firm. It does not move when the washer is running. But now you might be wondering, well, there's still some like pokey things here, right? What can I do about that? So what I did about that is I bought some EVA foam online, just some cheapo roll-on. It was like 10 bucks. And I made a little angle out of it. I actually used some E6000, no, or some sort of contact cement to glue this plastic angle I'd laying around. So I just put that over it, so in case someone walks by, they don't hit their foot on it. But I mean, lots of you probably have your washer in some closet or whatever where people aren't walking by. But for me, a lot of people walk by. So I wanted to put something over it to kind of cover up the sharp metal parts. So that should take care of that problem. Again, I lost about 2 or 3 inches. I believe this top section's about 2 inches I measured or so, or a little bit over. But yeah, I lost a few inches here, but it's well worth it in my opinion. Another thing you might be wondering is, if that weighs 200 pounds, like, is that base actually stable? Well, let me tell you, I've had someone who's about 200 pounds stand on top of it in order to get up into my like attic, which is above. But so if this machine's 200 pounds, a roughly 200-pound person is standing on top of it, that's 400 pounds, and this thing did not break. I will mention though, for a washing machine, this particular model I have, which is a Bora PM 1000, it's like 50 bucks on Amazon. Uh, this particular model, you can see I have it maxed out, right? Like this is as wide as it gets and as long as it gets, basically. It does bow a little bit. If you move it around, it might squeak a little bit. But again, I've had twice the weight on here. A 200-pound person standing on this and did not break. It is listed for 400 pounds, which I think is like its safe upper limit. I wouldn't recommend testing that limit, but I suspect if you had like a top loader washer and a dryer stacked or whatever, that'd probably be fine. You'd have to like look at the specs yourself. But yeah, I've had 400 pounds on this thing, and again, it's maybe a little bit squeaky, or you can see a little bit of a bow here, but no problem. Okay, so some of you might be wondering though, how did I get this thing on the base in the first place by myself if this thing's 200 pounds? Well, you can see how like these corners are significant because that's where the feet actually rest, the appliance feet actually rest in those corners, right? So I had actually built the base first, and then I got the appliance on there. Maybe there could have been some efficiency if I built part of the base around the appliance instead of like building the whole thing and then putting the appliance on. But either way, what I did is I did some like ancient technology stuff where I lifted this up, like I grabbed one corner, lifted it up and slid a block under about halfway. And then I did the same for the other side, and then I could like kind of tilt this thing. It's like building the pyramids, but in this case I was like both the slave and the pharaoh. And so once I got up on blocks, I slid that under, but it could only go through like halfway. So then I put new blocks under it and then slid it from the old blocks to the new blocks, and then I was able to push this in the rest of the way. So once it was aligned over the top, I sat the back feet down, and then the front seat, I held it with my hand and pulled the blocks out. That was a little dicey. I would really recommend you have like at least 2 people and get some straps or something, but I did it solo. It's definitely possible. But yeah, I wouldn't recommend that. But once you get it in the base, hypothetically, you should never have to like really remove it. And if you get a new appliance, I'd recommend just like putting that in the base immediately. Whoever delivers the appliance, ask them if they can just set it down in the base in the first place. All right, so that's my way of moving heavy appliances. You just gotta look for these things, like they're usually called like universal bases, and they're made for like moving tools around shops and stuff. So I would look into that if I were you. It makes moving a heavy appliance so much easier, even if it's only once a year or like once in a blue moon. It's such a pain, especially if you're doing it solo, that I think is totally worth just put the base on it the entire time, and whenever you do need to move it, it's like you don't even have to think about it. You don't have to prepare. You don't have to do anything crazy. Just in 5 minutes, attach the wheels and you're sliding that thing out. So yeah, if you like this, please, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching.